From the top. So Paul Lindley of Ella's Kitchen, nice to talk to you. A really good presentation, packed with tips. But I just wondered if, for women on She's Ingenious, if you could just pick out 3 things that you would most want to advise somebody who's coming up with an idea or at the concept stage with a food product idea. What do they really need to think about from the outset?
Okay. 3 things, and I think they're all couched in the idea of never forget why you're doing what you're doing. It's so easy to forget when you start going that you might change your recipe a bit or change your packaging to save costs, and if that's not the reason why you went into it, don't do it. Always have a little person at the back of your shoulder reminding you why you set up what you did. Within that, then I'd say there are 3 things. I think first of all, it's about remembering your consumer all the time, remembering that what they want is important, not what you want. Thinking about them in your packaging, your recipe, your marketing, where it will be in store, all of those sort of things. Really important. Never forget
So
that.
actually, you talked about that there's more than one consumer. There's your end consumer, which for you are the children, and you talked a lot about that, the importance of that really came through. But your customers are also not just your end users, are they? They're the retailers.
Yes, and there's somebody in the middle, as in mum and dad, who aren't consuming but are buying for the ultimate consumer. So in our business, we've got to make sure the kids and the babies love our products first and foremost, because they won't eat them a second time, and I might buy them a third time. Mum's got to have a reason to want our products, and maybe there are different reasons for the baby, but remember what the pressures on her life are, and dad, but both of them, what the pressures are and why they need your product. And then the third reason within that is the retailers themselves and how they have traditional ways of setting up their stores, but they're always looking for things that are different, and they want their customers who are going into their store to have a reason to go in there than somebody else. And so there are 3 sets of consumers for us. So all remembering who your consumer is and what they might want is a really important thing.
That's one big important thing.
Second thing is really about innovation, I'd say, and it's about being different and having a sustainable difference. In our case, it's about building a brand, for example, but it's about reinventing our products or coming up with new products all the time, so that we can offer them something new that she might not have had before, and offering it in a way that is not copyable by competitors or bigger companies, and offering the supermarkets continual reason for them to list you is that you're something different. So innovate all the time, not just in your product, but perhaps in your marketing and the way you talk to the retailers, those sort of things.
You did make that point actually. It's really not just about innovating around the product. You mentioned it was about almost in the whole way that you do business. You're looking at again. You mentioned even sort of being creative ways of sort of funding your growth as well as being. It's like a more mindset then.
It is in our business. If you've got a children's product, you're likely to be up against big companies who are going to be watching you perhaps once you're up and running, but are not going to be able to react so quickly to things. They're going to be a bit more like an oil tanker and sort of react to change slowly if you need to change tack, where you're a little yacht and you can zig and zag, and being able to think differently and not be constrained by your own factory that they might have, or it's just the way we do things, or shareholder returns, things like that they may be interested in. If you can do a marketing campaign or create a product that is different, it may associate more risk, but you may be persuaded to take that risk, being yourself, then you'll be something that's different in the marketplace and will succeed, I think, that way. And I think the third thing is about having a team around you that can believe passionately in what you believe in. And I think it's very easy for a lot of small companies to get to a certain size where the owner does everything and certain sales there. It's a business, but it's sort of a lifestyle business. And to take it on a step from that, you can't do everything. You shouldn't be doing everything if you want your vision to be able to translate everywhere. And it's about relying on the team. So there's decisions taken in my business now that I don't know about. I may have made differently, but I've empowered people to make those decisions, and that's exactly right, because I've employed the right people into the right roles.
So it's really important to know that, because you mentioned when it was just you in the business and you're kind of doing everything from your third bedroom, and it's important to know that that's going to have to change at some point.
If that's what if you want a lifestyle business that will provide you with a salary, and that's what your ambition is, that's great, and you might be able to do that yourself and keep your business at that level all the time. But if your ambition is to grow, you can't possibly do everything, and nor should you, and that's it's recognising that time of where you need somebody in to work with you and have new ideas and help develop your ideas with a better skill set than you might have in. But having said all of that, there's I think it's really important that you understand your business fully. So those first, it took me 2 years before we employed anybody, and I did everything in our business, all the supply chain and logistics and everything, the finance, the marketing, the sales, and some things I'm better at than others. But I do understand every aspect now, so that when my teams do it, I understand what issues they're facing now.
So you have to be the master of it all before you can sort of farm it out to people who...
I'd say so, otherwise you don't understand the intricacies and difficulties within your business.
Yeah, that's great. Can I ask you one more sneaky question? You mentioned about high growth there and the difference between lifestyle and high growth, and I think there's a really big gap here for women in their understanding. They're not even being told that there's a difference when they set out. What are the main... You clearly set out with Ella's Kitchen to make it a big business. You could see the difference. What are the things that you would say to somebody, a difference to understand between the way you'd start a lifestyle business and going for a high growth business?
I think sustainability is probably in there somewhere about
long-term sustainability.
You've got to have a reason for your customers and supermarkets, in our case, to continually to be looking to you for something new, and therefore we find we have to reinvest so much in new products and marketing to just keep building. And as we get new listings, new stocks, then so there's a whole cash flow sort of implication of it's great to grow fast, but lots of new fast-growing businesses run out of cash, and
that's the big
brings
issue,
them to a big halt. So being mindful of cash flows, and it's not all about the profit, it's about the cash flows that sustain that, and I think that's when you embark on, I'm going to grow really fast now, assuming that there's the demand there for you to be able to do it. The problems of supply and logistics and cash sort of are there that aren't really there when it's a small business and your stock's always the same. When we launched last 2 months ago 20 or 30 new products, the investment behind that to have them ready with all the stock and the development and the marketing campaign ready to go on day one, we had to plan for, because we knew we weren't going to be paid by our customers till a bit later. So just preparing.
So it's almost as if you're saying if you're going for the high growth route, then you have to be ready to pace yourself and not just think that it's a case of throwing more into the market. Actually, you've got to balance. It's a case of balance across the business.
It is, and I used today an idea of the future being a long time, and if it's a race, you've got a hare and a tortoise, you want to be the tortoise. You want to get there in the end and don't run out of cash or run out of ideas or run out of points of differences, as the hare might jump off quickly. And I think
that's a good point.
There's lots in there to do with the financial side of the business that comes up when you think you're doing great because you're growing fast.
Thank you very much, Paul. That's really useful. Cheers.